This is the appointed time, and we have a quorum. So I call this meeting to order. Item 1. Information papers issued since the last meeting. The Secretariat has not issued any information paper since then, so please note that. Next items for discussion at the next meeting. Members should have received 2 papers, CB bracket 31283/2025 as well as CB bracket 31283/2025 The next meeting is scheduled for the 30th of September, Tuesday, between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m. The Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs and the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism will deliver a briefing on the Chief Executive 2025 policy address. So please note that as well. Any questions? If not, item 3, progress of the West Kowloon Cultural District Development. CB bracket 31283/2025 That's a paper submitted by the administration. Would the staff please invite the administration and the WKCD authority representatives to come in? We're joined by Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, Ms. Rosanna Law, and also Mr. Henry Tang, Board Chairman of WKCD Authority, and Mrs. Betty Fong, CEO WKCD Authority, and Mr. Sunny Chan, Chief Projects Officer, WKCD Authority, as well as Ms. Winnie Chair, Deputy Secretary for Culture, Sports, Tourism Bureau, as well as Mr. Thomas Chan, Project Manager, CST Bureau, and Ms. Carmen Lee, CFO of WKCD Authority. So at this point, I should invite Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, as well as Mr. Henry Tang, Board Chairman, WKCDA, and Mrs. Betty Fong, CEO of WKCDA, to deliver opening remarks. And I understand they've prepared the PowerPoint as well. I'll give the floor to the Secretary now. Chairman, thank you. Now, my Bureau and the WKCD Authority would like to brief members on the latest development of WKCD. Now, the 14th five-year plan of our country has expressly provided support to Hong Kong as an East-West Center for International Cultural Exchange. And during the 2 sessions this year, Premier Li Qiang also delivered the government's work report. It emphasizes that Hong Kong should deepen international cooperation and exchange, and that emphasizes our country's expectation on Hong Kong, and that we should give play to our role as an international city, and we should attach importance to WKCD, which is a major strategic cultural infrastructure investment of the government. Now, as I said, under the leadership of Mr. Henry Tang, Board Chairman, and also Mrs. Betty Fong, CEO of WKCD Authority, and after years of planning and development, a number of major facilities of the WKCD have now been commissioned. We have the 2 major performing venues, the Siju Center and Free Space, as well as the 2 museums, that's the M+ and Hong Kong Palace Museum, are now part of Hong Kong's cultural icon. We also have world-class facilities in WKCD. The WKCDA has made use of them to showcase excellent performances and exhibitions to the world. We also continue to foster international exchange with the arts and cultural community in the world, and this makes WKCD a feature in the international arena. And I'm very grateful to Chairman Mr. Henry Tang and CEO Mrs. Betty Fong for their hard work and the contribution to make WKCD a vibrant cultural and artistic hub. Well, our Bureau will continue to support the WKCD's long-term development so as to promote the development of arts, culture, and creative industries development. We will also have regard to the features of WKCD in terms of comprehensive development comprising cultural and commercial elements to make the place a cultural and tourism icon for Hong Kong. We'll also enhance the financial arrangements so that WKCDA will continue to run in a self-financing model. I'll now give the floor to the Board Chairman and CEO, Mrs. Betty Fong, to tell members about the latest progress of WKCD development. Good afternoon, Chair. I'm happy to be here to meet with members. I used to come quite often, but recently I haven't been able to do so. I'm very happy that the Hong Kong Observatory issued the third typhoon signal number 3 at slightly past 1 today, so that this meeting could go ahead as scheduled. And I thank members for coming here. I want to emphasize first and foremost that the WKCD Authority was established in 2008. Back then, WKCD site was nothing but a muddy ground, so to speak. So we started from scratch. We started with, say, a sandboard drawing, and then nowadays, with the commitment and the resolve of the SAR government, as well as the years of hard work of the WKCD Authority, the support of the Legislative Council and the general public, I'd say that we have achieved certain milestones at this stage. This success is demonstrated in the figures I'm going to cite. It shows that WKCD is a popular place because we can't call ourselves a success if we do not have footfall. So just by quoting the number of visitors, I think we can demonstrate how successful WKCD has been. Last year, we received 15 million visitors in WKCD. These were visitors or participants of various activities and events. So altogether, 15 million visitors were recorded, and we also recorded a 2.6 million attendance in M+, as well as close to 1 million for Hong Kong Palace Museum. So before I attend meetings, I usually go to M+ or Hong Kong Palace Museum to see for myself how packed these venues are. Well, but of course that depends on what is on display. Say if we have some attractive exhibitions like Picasso, then at all hours you will see long queues, especially young people waiting to join the exhibition. Well, just like last week, I went to have lunch at M+, and I was going to cross the path to the other side for a meeting, and there were 6 and 7 people asking me for a photo. I thought they were mainland visitors or local tourists. But among them, only one of them could speak a few Cantonese phrases. They were in fact Korean tourists, so I thank them for supporting West Kowloon Cultural District, and I like to invite them to come back for shopping and for sightseeing again. So that demonstrates our progress and our achievements. We hold various events and activities, and we're able to attract people from all walks of life and all places to come, and also other cultural institutions to join and support us. The second point is that according to the 14th Five-Year Plan, our position is that is an East-Meets-West Center for International Cultural Exchange. Now, this is a national strategic plan promulgated by the Central People's Government through the NDRC, and our country is now actively preparing for the launch of the 15th Five-Year Plan, and I firmly believe that Hong Kong continues to enjoy this advantage as an international cultural exchange center. So the SAR government is also fully committed to achieving that goal. WKCD will continue to provide staunch support to the government so that we can deliver a good report to the Central People's Government on making Hong Kong an international cultural exchange center. Last year, we held the inaugural International Cultural Summit. Close to 2,000 people from around the world came to participate in this summit, and over 30 over 30 top-notch, world-class museums and art institutions also came and signed memorandum of understanding with us. Now, these are really prominent organizations and museums like the National Gallery, Pompidou, MoMA, and that's a Museum of Modern Art of New York. These are world-class museums. Now, this is in fact the first MOU signed with another place in Asia, and that's with M+, not with MoMA in Tokyo or Singapore or Shanghai, Beijing. MoMA New York chose to sign an MOU with M+, and that shows again the achievement we have made, and it's so-called accredited by a third party. So this is the fruit of collaboration between the SAR government and the WKCDA, and that we must all make this joint commitment in order to succeed. Now, my third point is about profit making. As I've always said, the WKCD is the base for creating an industry. Now, I always bear in mind Article 107 of the Basic Law, and that we should strive for fiscal balance and we should spend within our means. I bear this by heart, and that is why it is my goal to strike a balance. On the one hand, we want the general public in Hong Kong to be able to enjoy the arts and cultural events offered at the WKCD, and that they'll be able to enjoy a cup of coffee that is not really costly, or a slice of pizza that's not really costly at WKCD. But at the same time, we need to continue to attract the top-notch cultural and artistic talents to come to Hong Kong. And that is why I always emphasize spending within our means, but we should not stop spending if it's worthwhile. And that is why whenever a new facility in the WKCD is commissioned, we are able to draw a lot of footfalls, but at the same time we need to make sure the books are balanced, because with more participants and visitors comes more spending, and that we need to spend tens of millions of dollars on insurance, professional services, etc. whenever we hold an event. Now, we do not have sufficient resources locally. Say for Hong Kong Palace Museum, we rely on donations. So we can't hold large-scale and extensive exhibitions. For example, last time we held an exhibition on gold jewelries and ornaments, and a collector actually donated his collection to the Hong Kong Palace Museum so that we were able to hold this exhibition. As for Amplis, Mr. Sik donated over 1,000 Chinese paintings to the M+ museums together with our own works so that we could showcase them. Now, as for exhibitions relating to foreign artists such as Yayoi Kusama, Im Pompeo, as well as Picasso, as well as the Chinese relics in the Hong Kong Palace Museum, we need to pay for insurance, and we need to make sure, for example, that logistics are put in place and that all the exhibits are well protected, and that nothing will be broken, or else we won't be able to even pay for the compensation to the Palace Museum in Beijing. So regardless of arts, culture, etc., or creative industries, we continue to do our level best. And for IP, we also work on that as well. For example, we just have the inaugural Cantonese drama, and for Kusama, after the exhibition concluded in Hong Kong, we moved on to a roving exhibition in Spain and Portugal, and every time we were able to receive income. So we try to work on IP as well.
Thirdly, we are trying to nurture talents. We have in the Middle East and Central Asia, they have many arts facilities, but they do not have much in collection. They do not have the right talents. They don't know how to work with other organizations because they did not have talents who have worked in exhibitions before, and they actually tried to recruit our staff. We told them instead, it is only with your government support and nurturing of talents that you can do more. So why not pay us to train talents who can speak Arabic, the local language? So you wouldn't have to scout for our talents who most likely can only speak Chinese or English. And we are profiting from this. The nurturing of talents for other regions through IP, through these other sources of revenue. We hope to create an industry. Thank you. Mrs. Betty Fung. Thank you, Chair. Members, good afternoon. I am very glad to report on the strategic directions of the development of the WKCD, as the board chairman said earlier. Let me report on specifically the development of arts and cultural and public facilities. We have two main infrastructure that will be commissioned in the next 1 or 2 years. One, the Southern Landing facilities in West Kowloon. We are formally calling it West K Key in future. It is to be commissioned in Q4 of this year. We are currently planning for the use of the quay. This will be a public pier. We will have a booking system for berthing space, and it will provide transportation services to and from West Kowloon. And then we have another major performing arts facility that will also be commissioned soon, West K Performing Arts Center. It has a 1,450 seat grand theater, 600 seat medium theater, and 270 seat studio theater. It also accommodates the performing teams and offices, and right now the progress of completion is at about 84%. We expect that next year it will be commissioned. It will become a hub for dramas and musicals, especially some long-run programs. We also have comprehensive facilities in the center. We'll have F&B outlets. We will also have diversified arts venues for rental. It should provide a better experience for the visitors coming to West Kowloon, we are also moving full on ahead with industrialization, as the board chairman said. Last October, we set up a special purpose vehicle company called the West Kowloon Enterprise Limited, so that we can adopt a unique development model and utilize our assets fully to promote industrialization of the operations in West Kowloon Cultural District. We are developing a new booking system and will make use of big data platform to facilitate, say, mainland visitors purchasing tickets, because we do note that there are some issues at the moment, and in the long term we'll also sell some merchandise and provide F&B facilities in the center. We note that 50% of our visitors are from the mainland, many of them from the Greater Bay Area. This is good because many of them will come to our museums multiple times per year. For example, for M+, we have 30% of the GBA visitors who are repeated visitors. So we want to definitely enhance publicity in the mainland, especially in the GBA, provide them with this new ticket selling channel, and we will also have annual passes and memberships for them to increase engagement with them. We will also develop new tourism products. We have recently some M+ events, nighttime activities that have been quite attractive to visitors. As for arts trading, we are trying to build an ecosystem. The Chief Executive announced in last year's policy address that the WKCDA is to develop this further, and we already have one of the 3 major auction firms in Hong Kong, and we hope to have a roadmap by Q1 of next year to how we can actually construct an ecosystem for arts trading in Hong Kong. And once the Performing Arts Center is completed, we should be able to accommodate some of the operations of the major stakeholders there. As for operating deficit, there are some media reports that mentioned that in 2024-25, it seems that the deficit has increased by $200 million. But let me clarify something. In 2021-22, our deficit was $772 million, 22-23, 718, and 2023, 578 million. So the figure we have in 2024-25 is actually comparable to 2021-22, 2022-2023. We have seen a decrease in the visitors. So we have operating deficit still, but it is generally comparable to 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023. Why we have a lower operating deficit in 2023, 2024 was because we had the support of the Mega ACE Fund for our projects that year, and we do not have that in 2024, 2025. And we also lost the funding for anti-epidemic fund because of the end of the epidemic, and the authority had to pay out of the authority's pockets expenses on staff members. And as we are spending our lump sum grant, we have less bank deposits. So in 2024-25, we have less in interest revenue as well by about a few $1 million. So we would say the figure we have right now is a more or less recurrent figure. But let me say this, the deficit percentage that we have is comparable to other major museums such as MoMA and other major art museum. They only have a cost recovery rate of 40 to 50%. They can't completely finance their own operations. They need the support of trust funds or other organizations to support their operations, and we are planning to make use of other sources of revenue to make up for the deficit. This is our vision. In 2026-2027, we will have the 3 Art Square towers completed, and then we will have a more stable source of revenue to make up for the deficit. In June of this year, the Town Planning Board approved our residential project in Area 2B. We will proceed with the residential project in an orderly manner. That's it for my presentation. Thank you. We are now going to have the Q&A session. If you wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. Right now, we have 16 members who have pressed the request to speak button. Due to time constraints, I'll assign a 3-minute time limit, questions and answers included. Please observe the time limit, and I will practice stringent control of the time limit so that every member will get a chance to speak. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Kenneth Fogg, Mr. Kenneth Leung, Mr. Benson Look, Ms. Chen Yutming, Mr. Rock Chen, Dr. Johnny Mr. Adrian Ho, Ms. Lam So Wai, Professor Lau Chi Peng, Mr. Yu Park Leung, Mr. Vincent Ching, Mr. Luk Chung Hong, Mr. Chen Yong, and myself. 16 in total. Mr. Andrew Lam, 3 minutes. Questions and answers included. Please reserve time for the administration to respond. Sure. According to the paper, in the past year, we have seen the West Kowloon Cultural District receiving 15 million visitors. And I know that this is a combined figure for museums, exhibitions, and performing arts facilities. We can see the West Kowloon Cultural District is indeed an important infrastructure. It is very important to make sure that the cultural district is sustainable for the development of arts and culture in Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong is unique in a way. We very much rely on real estate to support construction and operation of facilities. So we do have the support of the administration, and we have had the approval of the Town Planning Board to have some residential development in the district. I think what happens with the project is important for the operations of the cultural district in the next 10 years. Do you have more concrete plans you can share with us? I also understand to be operating on a self-financing basis, it is very hard for cultural facilities if we look at what is happening in different parts of the world. But right now the cost recovery rate is just 30%. Can we do better? Thank you, Chair.
I thank Mr. Lam for the questions. First, on property development, the WKCD is not a property development project. We received a one-off grant of $21.6 billion. Now, I was the chair and I was also chief secretary for administration. I learned back then that $21.6 billion would not be sufficient for all the facilities to be built. We could only take one small step at a time. And all along there were different problems such as a mismatch, wrong timing, and there was also a serious problem with cash flow. So we had to come up with solutions. Either we asked the government for handout, or we tried to find ways to make money. And because we do own some assets, we, namely the land, and we should not let it go to waste. And that is why in our plan we already have this project of residential development on the 1.5 million square meters of site. We don't want to add to the burden of the public coffers. There are also other livelihood matters that the government needs to take care of. So without adding to the government's burden, we want to take forward the property development on using our own assets so that in the coming 10 years we can achieve financial stability. Right. Please be as succinct as possible. Right, for the next question, Chair, if I may, I'll just spend 30 seconds to answer that. We have the Sishu Center and Tea House Theatre free space with 450 seat capacity. And for these two major venues, we rely on box office income. We do not have a lot of retail dining or venues available for hire, but in future with the commissioning of the West Cape Performing Arts Center, we will be able to provide altogether 3 venues with 2,300 plus seats, and there is also a space for holding banquets accommodating over 30 tables. So after the commissioning of the center, the cost recovery rate will go up comparing to the present 30%. Now, may I remind members to observe the speaking time limit strictly, because we have 16 members waiting to speak. If we go on for too long, we won't be able to start another item. Mr. Ken Fogg, let me declare that I'm also on the board of WKCD over the past few years under the leadership of the chairman and the secretary. We have achieved a lot, in particular the blueprint. I acknowledge that. But now, Chairman, I just listened to the presentation, especially on the hardware aspect of the WKCD, including the West K PAC. But we should also work on software, and that means we should do more on IP. The Impossible Trial, and that's the Cantonese musical, is a great success. Is also making a hit in Beijing and Shanghai. I understand that there are other co-production projects such as those mentioned in paragraph 22 about ballet and other new initiatives. So my question is for the management. In your future plan, will you include more co-production projects apart from the hiring of venues? Will you be able to form, say, an ecosystem so that we have hardware and software and we can groom talents? Now, Chinese musicals are now something very trendy. So I think the WKCD will have the capacity to support more and nurture more IP so as to generate more products and income. Mr. Tang? Well, Kenneth, you asked an excellent question. Of course, we'll continue to work on these fronts in order to have our own IPs. Now, it's not an easy process. The Impossible Trial is the first Cantonese musical produced in Hong Kong, and it's been a big hit. We're considering what more can be done. I understand the secretary is also very keen and enthusiastic on in art and culture, and she has participated in a lot of our projects and performances, and I fully appreciate her enthusiasm and her capabilities, and we look forward to working with her as the WKCD authority to develop more IPs. Let me also supplement. Now, the Impossible Trial musical took us 9 years in preparation. In the long term, there is a need to give the industry a better prospect so that we have some long-running shows. In fact, when the PAC is commissioned in 2027, we will And in fact, we are discussing with the industry about co-investing in some of the shows. And this rock ballet show is one of the long-standing. It could be one of the long-standing shows in WKCD. Mr. Kenneth Low. Thank you, Chair. I'm concerned about the project for young people, and that's West K Street Performance Scheme. In March this year, another round of nurturing or training program will be rolled out to help nurture younger talents. Now, my question is this: will the WKCDA consider adopting the same management model to promote street performance outside of WKCD? Because at the moment there are a lot of restrictions for giving street performances in Hong Kong. So with the success of this performance scheme, will the WKCDA consider promoting street performance elsewhere in Hong Kong as well, using the same model? Second point, in 2024-25, 102 internship opportunities will be given or have been given to young people, and it's very hard. Well, this experience is hard to come by. It also helps build Hong Kong into an East Meets West Center for International Cultural Exchange. Now, we also collaborate with different cultural institutions in the mainland. So that's about fostering exchange. Will there be an opportunity for young people to be seconded in mainland institutions for the purpose of exchange? Now, let me answer this question. For street performance scheme, it's not just about busking. We also have other kinds of performances, acrobatics and otherwise. And I understand that there are views that we should adopt the same model to promote street performance in other places. And that is why through the newly established corporation, we would also like to promote this same management model to other places, including the harbourfront, combining RDE elements. About exchange with the mainland, we have the Bi-City Youth Exchange Program, or that's called Bi-City Youth Cultural Leadership Program. University students in both places will attend classes in Hong Kong. They will also work in museums together, and then they would also again work together in Palace Museum in Beijing. They would attend classes together as well. So perhaps we will further explore extending the program to cover, say, the Dunhuang Research Institutes. Mr. Benson, look, now the WKCD is a self-financed infrastructure project. It is important that its development is sustained. But there are different models. Say, I think one feasible option is to adopt the MTRCL's operation model so as to generate income to support the artistic and cultural development in WKCD. Now, can we speed things up so that the WKCD can start property development as quickly as possible to cash in and improve the cash position? The second question is this, Chair. Apart from West K, we also have some highly related infrastructures and festivals that would bring visitors to Hong Kong. So, will you focus on multi-destination tourism, combining West K with, say, high-tech sports park, so that people can enjoy arts and cultural activities as well as sports facilities, and that we can promote multiple destination tourism in Hong Kong? Who would take this question, please? Secretary. Mr. Lok has made an excellent point. WKCDA was granted approval by the CN Council last year for property development in the district, and that the government has also been speeding things up. The town planning board has scrutinized and approved the plan. Now, so the papers are ready. The government has made this recommendation to the WKCDA. The property market may not have recovered to the previous level, but we must continue to grasp the opportunity so that once the market sentiment improves, you'll be ready to launch your project. Now, about multi-destination tourism or multi-event tourism. This is our focus. Now, in general, we have 3.2 million overnight visitors in Hong Kong, and they may stay in Hong Kong for 3 nights for different events, a concert for 1 night, and then performance for another, or even sports, etc. So this is something relating to my portfolio. Now, we have a mega event calendar. You can find that on the Hong Kong Tourism Board's website. The calendar comprises projects funded by the government or collaborating partners such as WKCDA. We also have projects covered by the Mega Events Fund, etc., or the MMarks events. We also have private events. They all come under the calendar. What we need to do is to have better coordination and disseminate information in a more effective way so that people can make informed choices. Next, Ms. Chen Yupming. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make 2 points about the cultural and creative icon. Paragraph 4 of the paper suggests that more activities should be held to make the WKCD a must-visit landmark for cultural and creative tourism. Now, recently, I've noticed this phenomenon. A lot of people line up for pop art figures. Even in Europe, people nowadays line up not for luxury bags, but handbags, but for figures. And this kind of export of soft power or culture is hard to come by. And in fact, the hottest IP now is Labubu, and it's from a Hong Kong designer. So we consider some crossover projects. And about last year's music festival in WKCD, it was a success. We do not have a lot of similar venues. We have one near Tamar and another one in WKCD. Now, the park could has a lawn that could accommodate several thousand or 10,000 people. Would you consider, from the cost effectiveness perspective, adopting innovation so as to generate more footfall and increase revenue? My other point is about the nurturing of talents. Now, this year, I understand that the WKCD has rolled out a Saturday thematic market. Different themes are adopted every week. Will the authority consider regularizing this event? And can you explore how we can provide support for local artists? Will there be a chance for them to set up their own booths to showcase their own work so as to help artists gain exposure and generate more income? Who will take this question, please? Well, I think there are several questions on cultural and creative products. We will continue to do our best as long as we find suitable subjects such as Kusama or Sanxingdui. These products sell quite well. As for Palace Museum, there is not as big room for selling IP products because the exhibits come from the Palace Museum in Beijing. They own the IPs. It's not easy for us to just copy them. But we do have, say, for example, the Picasso exhibition, and again, we sell quite a lot of these IP products. So as long as they're suitable, we'll continue to work on the IP front. But in the long term, our direction is to promote our locally created IPs. We have some very good fashion designers in Hong Kong. Likewise, I believe we have designers for our cultural and creative products as well. And then Betty will supplement on talents. I'm sorry, we've run out of time. If you want to give your answer, do it in writing. Otherwise, you won't be able to complete this item. We have 10 members still waiting to speak.
下一位
All right, next to speak, Mr. Rock Chen. Really, members, please be brief when you speak, and I will also ask the administration to be succinct as well. I'll be brief, Chair. I have a suggestion and a question. Mr. Henry Tang, in his presentation, talked about how we have already forged partnerships with many different organizations. I am suggesting you can reach out to Henan, because the Henan Museum has 9 national treasures, and Henan has a specific heritage that is of the Yinxu era, and this is an art that is very unique, and we should exhibit it if we can in Hong Kong. We have also the CEO of the WKCDA talking about how we have been trying to work with stakeholders. We already have an auction firm operations being set up, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm just thinking how we can attract more to come to Hong Kong. Can the government provide more concessions? Thank you. Who's going to answer the questions? Mrs. Betty Fong. We actually very much attach great importance to the Henan Museum. We have been liaising with them. We can talk about what we can do about the exhibits mentioned. We also have our goals set to reach out to auction firms and larger arts galleries in the mainland. But we have already rented out all of our offices. So we are actually looking to, when the 3 Art Square towers are completed, rent the facilities available to other firms. Well, anything to add? You still have some time. Maybe you can answer the earlier question. Well, the performing arts venues, there's a public space, so it cannot be used for concerts. But we have in particular a space that we have subcontracted to concert operator, and it can house 8,000 people, so concerts can be held there. We also hold weekend markets, and during Christmas we have a Christmas market that is held for a longer period of time. We welcome youngsters and ethnic minorities to have stalls in West Kowloon Cultural District, and they can reach out to us if they want. Thank you. Dr. Johnny Thank you, Chair. We have seen great achievements made by the district, but I guess the concern is with resources, the deficit. We have had another member talk about we are to construct arts trading ecosystem. IP is a source of revenue, but it is not much compared to arts trading. Arts trading, you can have a revenue of over $1 billion, and we have an advantage in the sense that we have a very low tax rate compared to neighboring regions. So how can we make sure we focus on projects that are profitable, that can really help you close the deficit gap? You also talked about there being another residential project that can support your operations. But we also note that the market may not rebound as good as we want. Mr. Henry Tang's term will soon be expiring. Will the board chairman stay on for longer to make sure we have a healthy development of the operations of the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority? Thank you. When we talk about having an arts trading ecosystem, it's not just about accommodating auction firms or arts galleries. It would include upstream, midstream, downstream operations. It would be more than just renting out offices. Nurturing of talents is also quite important. Regarding the appointment of personnel of the WKCDA, the government will give due announcement, and Mr. Henry Tang I'm sure he is very much willing to provide his support whenever necessary. If you do not have more to say, maybe we can have another member speak first so as to move along things. Sure, Mr. Adrian Ho. Well, to alleviate the financial pressure on West Kowloon Cultural District, I would urge citizens to spend more in West Kowloon Cultural District and to stay there for longer. I would like to ask if the authority has any plans to have more economic activities, hold more markets. This would also vitalize the neighborhood in terms of real estate. Can you also tell us what new or innovative arts areas are you focusing on at the moment? Thank you, Chair. We have been trying to promote night economy, and we have been doing well. We have some markets. We also have 2 museums that have held evening activities. For example, M+ every month has an M+ party. These evening events have been quite popular. But West Kowloon Cultural District has its shortcomings, as some of the facilities are not completed. We do not have as high flow of people that we would have liked. And during the weekend, we can see F&B facilities are very full. So it's not the problem of the facilities not being attractive. So what we have to do is to have more evening activities for now. As for innovative activities that we have in mind, the problem is we still do not have the Performing Arts Center. We have the C-True Center, we have the museums, we also have shows, but we do not have the music part of things at the moment. So I hope that once the music center is completed, we can have more music shows in the district. Thank you. Next, Ms. Lam So White. Thank you, Chair. I have been promoting pet inclusiveness, and I'm sure Mr. Henry Tang knows many citizens would bring their pets, their dogs, to West Kowloon. But right now, the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department does not approve of pets in restaurants, and I have received feedback from West Kowloon restaurant operators on this. If we are to have pet-friendly activities held in West Kowloon, why not take a step further? that we would also have some pet-friendly restaurants, so that when pet owners watch some busking shows, they can also go to the museums, they can also eat there, then take a stroll there. Can the authority work with the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department to test the operations of pet-friendly restaurants on a pilot basis, so that we can indeed vitalize the district? There are some smaller buskers doing their performances in West Kowloon. How can we expand the scale of busking? Perhaps also tie the activity of busking in with other events such as Beer Fest, so that we can bring in more people, youngsters from the mainland and overseas, to come to West Kowloon. Mr. Henry Tang, the member is quite right. We have seen many pet owners bring their pets to West Kowloon, dogs, pets, even turtles. I haven't seen people walking a cat for long, but I did see that in West Kowloon. The pet owners I've seen have been very disciplined as well. They keep things very hygienic. We do know that pet-friendly operations are very popular overseas, and I think with the government support, we can maybe test things on pilot basis, have food trucks maybe, so that we can test things out. Thank you. Professor Lau Chi Pang. I would like to speak today in a way on the West Kowloon Cultural District's behalf. M+ only opened in 2021, the Palace Museum 2022. If we are asking them to operate on a self-financing basis fully at this moment, I would say it is just one hallucinating. And I have worked with Mr. Andrew Lam earlier, and I visited Japan on a delegation visit. I was blown away. I went to 8 museums, 1 of them private, 7 of them public. None of the museums could really be sustainable on a self-financing basis. So if we're asking West Kowloon Cultural District to do this, it is impractical, I would say. So how should we measure the success of the West Kowloon Cultural District? I would say we can look at the long-term performance, give them a few more years. We do see a good artist impression here. Let's just give them more time, give them more financial support, be patient. That's what I would say. Now, for what I actually want to make a point about, for West Kowloon Kai Tak, they have synergy involved with other parties. Why not have these activities tie in with the activities in West Kowloon? For example, giving them a discount for musicals. And we also need to think about how often citizens would go to museums and musicals. We have a lot of people going to concerts, but I think we can at least test things out so that we can see whether we can indeed achieve synergy. And we can do more, say, to accommodate pet owners, as another member said. If we see better performance 5 years later, then I would say the efforts are successful. You have 20 seconds to speak. I will be brief. I would like to say that we will continue to work hard on this. We would say some people can go attend a concert in Kai Tak, and then the next day they can come to West Kowloon to do some cultural tourism, and then the next day they can go back to Kai Tak to watch a football match, and this can be support of all aspects of Hong Kong. Thank you.
Mr. Perry, you. Chairman, I'd like to give my take on deepening the integration of culture and tourism. The WKCD team led by Betty has been very proactive in liaising with the tourism sector. Now we now have a stronger tie for collaboration. But I think we should be more aggressive. We should act more boldly, because many tours just come visit the WKCD, they take a picture of the surrounding, they don't go inside museums. Maybe it's because of the planned itineraries, they do not have sufficient time to go in. How about giving more incentive to the tour guides or travel agents so that group tours can visit museums as well? It is important that we have collaboration across industries and sectors. Betty's team has developed different platforms, and they've also developed a ticketing system. So, like Professor Lau just now said, perhaps we can develop package products covering retail, dining, shows, etc. One important direction that we should work on is to promote WKCD together. We should mobilize travel agents, hotels, tour guides to tell good stories of WKCD. In just a few years, it has become a cultural and tourism icon. It has taken shape. It's now becoming a world-class cultural brand. So I think we should deepen collaboration with the tourism sector. Now, I'm concerned about accessibility. In 2024, you recorded 15 million visitors to West K, but I think with improved accessibility, you could go for 15 million or more. There is an exit from the museum at WKCD to the other side of the tunnel. Now, I understand that the target commission is in 2027. I hope we can speed things up as quickly as possible to improve accessibility. And then along the waterfront, you have this section from the fire station to M+. Can you work on that more quickly as well? I don't think there's time for the government official to answer your question. Please wait for a written reply instead, Mr. Vincent Chang. Secretary, Chairman, I'm also a member of the WKCDA board. I think the WKCD has done a lot of hard work. We have performances and museums in West K. All of them are world class. So coming back to my point, I'd like to talk about transport. As mentioned by other members, you recorded over 10 million visitors, so that's really an impressive number. But on days without events, at night, I don't see a lot of people. That's because of transport. I think public transport should be improved. As I understand, there are connecting services, but the bus and minibus fares are not cheap at all. Is there a way to improve accessibility? In fact, the harbor city in Tsim Sha Tsui is really crowded. Is there a way to divert the crowd to West K to enjoy the harbor view? Can you develop a dedicated shuttle service? The other point is you should leverage on Kai Tak is a new opportunity for you. Likewise, you should divert the crowd from Kai Tak to West Quay. Now, for this West Quay, it will be commissioned soon. As I understand, some tourists, in particular foreign tourists, might decide to take a boat trip after having tea in Central, or after having breakfast or having a meal in Tsim Sha Tsui. So you can develop certain similar products. My next point is about the Impossible Trial. This is very much welcomed by mainland tourists as well. So can you work on the Express Rail Link stations connectivity so that they find it easy to come to West Quay and stay here? The Impossible Trial musical is on at Sishu Center. Is really an accessible location via either the Exile station or the Austin station. You can just cross the footbridge. Now, to take the next point, when there are events in West Kowloon Cultural District, for example, there is a park next to West Quay with 8,000 seating capacity. Now, whenever there is an event there, we provide special transport service. About West Quay, like the CEO just now said, it will be commissioned by the end of this year. I understand some water taxis have expressed interest in developing dedicated routes. Now, as for other facilities still under construction, because of the work's progress, it may not be easy to provide a connecting path, such as the section next to the fire station you mentioned. We're working on it. With increase in number of visitors to West Quay every year, I'd say that the people know the way, but more importantly, we need to find the right attractions to attract visitors. Next, Mr. Michael Look. The West Kowloon PAC will be commissioned in 2026. It covers altogether 3 venues of different sizes. Have you prepared estimates about the footfall and the cost effectiveness, revenue, etc.? The other point is that you explain around the world that when it comes to arts and culture, government subsidies are a necessity. But in terms of investment return and cost effectiveness, the first estimate you provided was 6.1%, but in 2021-22 it came down to 3.1%. It's been almost 10 years. Now, of course, we need to have regard to the economic cycle as well. Having said that, has the drop to do with the poor performance of the fund manager? Is it the right time to find another candidate because it's not a small investment? Is there a way to improve the IRR? About the music center, Mr. Henry Tang said that he'd like to see the completion as quickly as possible. I have the same feeling, but we have this big venue that should accommodate different shows, such as traditional shows, classical concerts, pop art, etc. But in terms of controlling construction costs, I need some reassurance. Now, for this Longjiang International Art Center in Shenzhen, some call it the shoe-shaped structure. It costs $2 billion. Now, on investment in 2008, we obtained a one-off grant of $21.6 billion. Now, this sum is now entrusted with the Hong Kong MA. You may recall in 2008, there was the international financial crisis. The interest rate dropped to 0. So the ultra-low interest rate lasted for a very long time. Only in the recent 2 years did the interest rate go up. So the return actually improved in the past few years, but if you consider the whole period for a long period of time, the interest rates remained very low, close to zero. So that's how we prepared the numbers. Mr. Chen Yong. Now I see impressive figures such as 15 million visitors recorded, but I think that no explanation is needed. It's for the interest of the whole of Hong Kong. But after all, we're talking about major spending. We need to tap new sources of revenue as well. I understand for the 18 million visitors, apart from box office income, you need to find the right target tourists, because they tend to spend more. And the economies around the world are slowing down. Many corporations may not be as willing to spend as before. So, Mr. Tang, of course, you have experience. In the coming few years, is there any way to tide us over the problem, and then you can start finding sponsors? Chairman, on sponsors, we do have sponsors as part of to make up for part of the expenditure. For example, in the recent Picasso exhibition, the Bank of China is our major sponsor. And as a result, balancing the books, we do have good revenue because of this sponsorship. About tapping new revenue streams, we need to work on both venues and the shows. We need to invest tens of millions of dollars on each occasion in order to prepare for a major show. We have been able to make money in a number of them, say Kusama, Picasso, Sanxingdui, and Rock just now mentioned, made a suggestion. That is, we should start a discussion with the Zhengzhou Henan exhibition. This is definitely a very good opportunity for us to hold more major exhibitions. On controlling spending, well, I think that the message has reached the general public quite effectively. But meanwhile, we cannot stop spending once and for all, because otherwise we won't be able to put on any show or exhibition. So I thank the government for the long-standing support. We want to be able to take forward development and control spending at the same time, so as to achieve stability. We have 2 members on the queue, and we also have Ms. Nixie Lam just joining in. So we have 3 more members waiting to speak. I'll draw a line here. I won't accept newcomers. For the 3 members here, please observe the speaking time limit, 3 minutes.
Ms. Chen Hao-yan, for 6 consecutive years, the West Kowloon Cultural District has recorded a deficit. I understand the board chairman and Mrs. Betty Feng have been trying to make the activities and facilities there more attractive. And I also understand that we should consider investment in such infrastructure to be an investment. But then I also think about how we can do more cultural activities that are popular. Why am I saying this? Because last time I was there in the evening, I felt that the place was dead. There has not been maximization of use of the space nearby for the flow of people or to create business. We do not have that many people who will go there during the evening to walk their dogs or just to take a stroll. There are no such vibes there. So I think we need to really tie in the place with popular culture, because it is only with people going there that there will be consumption. Now, the West Quay will be commissioned in Q4 of this year. Do you have plans to have a cultural tourism route that will be connected to Macau and Zhuhai? We have many good cultural and art facilities and events in Zhuhai and Macau. I think we can achieve some synergy there. So how can we have some relevant plans when the quay is commissioned? I also understand that you've been holding some nighttime activities, but can you also have some theater events or light shows held in the evening in West Kowloon to make more out of it? Thank you. Mr. Henry Tang, the member suggestion is very good. Unfortunately, the quay is very small. It does not have CIQ facilities. It does not have essentially customs inspection, quarantine activities. It is only with CIQ facilities that we can have routes that will connect to other cities of China. This is just a very terminal in a way, like what we have the Star Ferry terminal, the Star Ferry pier. But I think the member's suggestion is very much valid. We can perhaps have routes that can go to Tsim Sha Tsui, Kai Tak, or Hong Kong Island. Should I stop here? Well, unfortunately, yes, because we're way past the time allocated for the discussion of this item. Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I myself am very interested in nurturing youth in art, and artists take long to be nurtured. And we want to, of course, nurture the youth of Hong Kong. In the paper, it is said that you have 102 interns, and under another scheme you have 20 interns recruited. You also have some research fellowship scheme and other programs that would involve the Greater Bay Area cities in general. Are these programs to continue? Hong Kong is to be an international cultural center for East and West exchanges. So how can we have the West Kowloon Cultural District become an engine for nurturing talents in arts and culture? Thank you. Mrs. Betty Fong. Well, we are trying to nurture talents, and we have welcomed students from different levels, secondary schools, primary schools, universities, to be trained in West Kowloon Cultural District. You mentioned the SIG research program, and that is indeed the signature program of ours. We have also done auditions for the Impossible Trial musical. We have recruited youth from different parts of the world, including the youth of Hong Kong, to take part in the performance. They may not have received formal training in musical, but we provide the training to them. And this is our way of industrializing the operations, and we are looking to nurture the youth. This is an important part of our work. Also, we have had many youth performances in one of our facilities, the Tea House, and we have many foreigners and visitors coming there. I believe this provides even more of a space for performers to shine. Anything to add? None. It's my turn to speak. I will limit myself to 3 minutes. I have some comments to make. West Kowloon is very special to me, and I've seen recently a very good exhibition. I have also been a director of the authority for 10 years. I have great expectations for what the district can do. I've seen many things going forward smoothly, but I do think there is room for improvement. As other members said, we can utilize the space better. Of course, land is a valuable resource. I think we can do something about the port ratio, but we can also do more. Right now, there is not enough vibrancy, as a member said. There's not much happening. I think during the nighttime we can perhaps have more live houses, and we can do it along the harborfront because we don't have to be concerned about noise pollution. Another thing is accessibility. We need to definitely do more with accessibility. We will have ferry services in future, but another thing of concern is that there is not enough cover. During the summer, it will either be too hot or people would just be exposed to rain. If you can do more in these two aspects and have more activities held in the cultural district, it will definitely help. I think we need to really improve on the traffic situation in West Kowloon. If you can have more green minibuses going to the vicinity, try to bring in more locals and visitors there. There will definitely be an improvement, and the district will have a bright future. I have another issue of concern. Last November, we have had the blueprint for the development of arts, cultural, and creative industries, and the authority is to take the lead. This is something that involves not just the authority. If we can achieve the vision, if you're sustaining a loss, I would be okay with that because you are helping build this industry. I believe the authority is also to expand our advantages in arts trading, as well as to promote West Kowloon as a hub for creativity. These are important targets. I don't need a response from the administration. I think if you can do more in the areas I mentioned, there will be bright prospects for West Kowloon. Chair, can I give you a reply in 1 minute? Sure. Thank you for your valuable suggestions, Chairman. I think we are on the same page here. Hong Kong is to be a center for cultural exchange, and we need to build an industry. It is only with there being an industry that it can be sustainable and boost the local economy. We also attach great importance to youth development, so the Impossible Trial will have its last performance this Wednesday. We have many youngsters participating in the performance. These youngsters are whom we have trained because we believe youngsters are our future. About transportation, we will have the design in future that will allow people to walk with cover all the way from Tsim Sha Tsui to Art Square in West Kowloon. So once the access is open, one can walk all the way from the pier, the ferry terminal, China Ferry Terminal to West Kowloon. I believe we can definitely improve accessibility to West Kowloon in future. I very much appreciate that. You mentioned the Impossible Trial. I actually watched the show again 3 days ago to be inspired. And I have learned much from their success. Okay, time is up. I would like to thank the team and the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism for attending this meeting. Let's move on to the next item. The fourth agenda item is Community Care Fund. Would the staff members please invite the representatives from the administration to come inside the conference room?
由於剩低嘅時間唔多，
We don't have much time left. Members, if you want to ask questions, please press the request to speak button to indicate your intention to speak.
都唔係太差，仲有半個鐘，應該勉強得搞得掂。我可以延長15分鐘嘅，咁應該夠時間。而家都唔多人發歌。今日出席我哋呢一
We have in attendance representatives from the administration, including Chairperson of the Community Care Fund Task Force under the Commission on Poverty, Secretary for Labor and Welfare, Mr. Chris Sun, Mr. Paul Wong, Deputy Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs, from the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau, Ms. Rosalind Chung, CEO, Community Care Fund from the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau. We also have Dr. K. Wong, Consultant Oral Health Care Health Bureau, Mr. Cyrus Chung, Principal Assistant Secretary for Housing, Special Duties 1 Housing Bureau, Ms. Anissa Ma, Assistant Director, Social Security, Social Welfare Department. We also have those from the Hospital Authority and the Hong Kong Dental Association present. We'll now invite Mr. Chris Sun to brief members on the paper. Thank you, Chair. I would like to brief members on the work progress of the CCF, and I will not take too much time in briefing members on the contents of the paper. Let me just talk about some salient points. We have some updates to the community living room project. We also have a trial scheme for CSSA elderly recipients being admitted to homes in Guangdong. We have also some fund allocations for the support of different medical assistance projects. Perhaps I'll stop here so that we have more time to answer members' questions. Thank you. We have 8 members who have requested to speak. I'll assign a time limit of 3.5 minutes. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Vincent Ching, Ms. Chen Yutming, Ms. Lam So Wai, Mr. Chen Yung, Mr. Kenneth Lau, Mr. Benson Luke, Ms. Maggie Chen, Ms. Chen Ho Yen. First to speak, Mr. Vincent Ching, 3.5 minutes, questions and answers included. Thank you, Chair. I in particular want to talk about the trial project for community living rooms. We have talked to the 2 secretaries before of the Housing Bureau and the Labor and Welfare Bureau about the community living room projects for STU tenants. This is a significant change. It not only provides the hardware, but it also fosters community building. People can have exchanges while they're cooking there. It has helped them a lot. I very much support the projects. These may be pilot projects, but I think we can incorporate some new elements and have a way forward for these projects 3 years later to bring about greater change for SDU tenants. We will soon have the basic housing units bill come into operation if it is passed next year in March. For SDU tenants, they will be somewhat affected. Can the community living rooms be a space to provide them with some assistance? We have organizations operating community living rooms, also operating transitional housing, and Ms. Chen Ho-Yan and I often talk about SDU tenants should be brought to the transitional housing projects so that they know that they have such options. And this is especially the case after the passing of the Basic Housing Units Bill. If we can do more to help with the turnover, I believe it will help things along. Thank you.
Secretary, I thank Mr. Vincent Chang for his questions. We have been exchanging views for a while, and for the CLR projects, we find merits, especially in helping residents. We have 8 of them running. The 9th one will be commissioned soon. Altogether, there will be 9 community living room projects. We expect to help 4,000 SDU households, covering about 600,000 services. Now, if we take a look at the Sham Shui Po project, it far exceeds that number. We look forward to more collaboration with other organizations. Some former service users have been assigned transitional housing units, so they have exited the programs, but there is a lot of potential. We'll continue to work with different community organizations. Right, will the Secretary consider the basic housing unit problem so that we can encourage more people to look up information? And, well, definitely we will be happy to give our full support. Ms. Chen Yuk-ming. Chairman, now I had prepared 2 questions, but in the interest of time, I'll just go for one of them. Now, I understand there is a special subsidy for residents of transitional housing. It's covered by the CCF. Earlier, according to media reports, the subsidy does not cover the rent for transitional housing, and it's different from the current arrangements of public rental housing. So I want to know whether the CCF has a role to play here. Will it be able to provide some help? Perhaps I'll give the floor to Mr. Zhang from Housing Bureau to take this question. About this subsidy for transitional housing, we do not impose any restriction on how the subsidy is to be used. So basically, after applying for the subsidy, the transitional housing residents can use the sum for different purposes, say for paying quarterly rates or other payments. There is flexibility as to how the subsidy should be used. So be it management fees or money for buying new textbooks or for moving flats, this subsidy can be useful. Right, any follow-up question? No? Next, Ms. Connie Lam. Thank you, Chair. Now I have a question about the financial position of the CCF. According to last year's electrical paper, the outstanding balance was about 7.4 billion for CCF, and this year it has dropped by about 900 million, down to $6.3 billion. So I'd like to know the annual recurring spending of CCF and how long will the sum be good for. Then my second point is this, Secretary, I told you before my view, that is about the CLR pilot project. You now have 6 or 7 projects in different districts running. Apart from districts prone to SDUs. There are districts in the new territories that have crowded households. These families are deprived families, such as transitional housing or basic housing units or light public housing in new territories southeast. So will you consider reviewing the pilot and focus more on districts with relatively high percentage of LPH or transitional housing? These households do not have sufficient community support. Now there are 3 light public housing projects in Cheung Kwan O. I often visit the households and they are deprived of resources. Will the Secretary consider working with the commercial sector so that in some vacant shop space, in shopping malls, etc., you can set up some small-scale community living rooms or even community canteens? There are underprivileged families in each district, so that's just I just throw up this idea for you to consider. Secretary, I'll take the second question first about the financial position of the CCF. I will ask the Deputy Secretary to answer that. I thank Ms. Lam for the suggestion. We want to pilot the CLR in different districts. It depends on whether there is any available venue and sponsorship for renovation. According to the data collected, we are looking at new community living rooms in districts other than the traditional ones I mentioned. Now for LPH and TH, as I understand, the service operators of transitional or light public housing would provide community and social support. The support may not come in the form of community living room, but still it's a support for these households. As for other kinds of support, we will do our best, but after all, we need to have clear positioning for the CLR. The purpose of CLR is to help solve the pain points and the plight of SDU tenants. I'll give the floor to the Deputy Secretary, Mr. Wong. In the past 3 years, we, on the whole, achieved a balance of $1.2 billion. As for annual current spending, we need to consider the projects approved for that year. So as to how long the balance will be good for, we need to have regard to the projects to be approved. But in the past 3 years, on the whole, we maintained a balance of $1.2 billion. Mr. Chen Yong. Thank you, Chairman. Secretary. CCF covers a lot of projects that are really welcomed by the general public, such as dental services for the elderly, as well as a community living room, and also after-school care, support for SDU households, converting hotel and guest house units into transitional housing, etc. I really appreciate all these initiatives. Now, the CCF is set up to support different government initiatives. Still, resources are limited. Will you consider keeping the more popular projects and deferring those that are less popular so that we can focus resources on the popular ones? I understand that there is a pilot project of converting hotel and guest houses into transitional housing. This will be rolled out in Yau Chim Wang district first, and if it's proved to be popular, will the government consider extending that to other districts as well? Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for your suggestions. In fact, I think we share the same views. If some projects are proved to be successful, they will eventually be regularized. The government will take charge. As for projects under CCF, they mostly come with the element of a trial. We try something new under the CCF, but when the project has not proved to be effective, we may not continue with it. This meets the objective of CCF. We want to roll out pilots. to plug the gaps in government policy formulation. So, like Mr. Chen said, we want to spend the CCF funds on problems facing the general public. We strive to provide support and services as much as possible. Any follow-up question? No, Mr. Kenneth Lau. Since the establishment of the CCF, 76 support projects have been rolled out covering healthcare, education, home affairs, housing, benefiting some 3.59 million people. I hope that the scope of the CCF can further expand to provide more suitable and timely support to others. My question is about the smart home care system for the elderly. Now, according to data in the past 12 years, 6 cases of elderly singletons passing away at home without getting noticed were recorded. These are tragedies. We need to adopt technology in a better way to avoid tragedies. I understand the CCF provides financial support for high-risk elderly singletons by installing sensors. For example, sensors can be installed in bathrooms to detect any falling or tripping incidents. And according to the latest trends, robots can be developed to help take care of elderly people and children in families. So my question is whether the government will continue with this subsidy program, or whether, in order to minimize falling or tripping accidents. Secretary, I thank member for the questions. We do note the technological advancements because new technologies can be deployed to give better support to elderly people aging in place. Now, the CCF is one of the avenues. We have other avenues. For example, we set up an I&T fund for the Geron technology, and we also further provided further injections a few years back, totaling some $2 billion. At first, Geron products could only be procured or hired at the centers, but now through the centers we can further allow hiring of such products for elderly families. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the chief executive visited the community, and in one of the homes, some smart technology or smart gadgets are installed through this program to help improve the living condition of elderly people. So we don't rule out this possibility. If we come across something good under CCF, we'll be happy to take it forward. Next, Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Chair. Subsidy for suitable patients to buy ultra expensive drugs. Now, I'd like to speak on that. I have concerns. According to this paper, I see that you have more and more beneficiaries under this program, so it's quite popular. My concern is this. What is the mechanism for considering to include more drugs under this program? Will there be a proactive approach in collecting data and considering the drugs? Another point is this. Now, a patient group concerning immunocompromised patients talked to me recently. For the immunocompromised patients, they have a high chance of getting shingles. So it's kind of a virus. It's a kind of virus. I see that some shingles vaccination products are available in the market, but it's costly. Each injection costs $5,000. Now, it's a kind of preventive drug, but relatively expensive. I want to know whether this will be included in the CCF. Perhaps I'll ask Dr. Larry Lee to take this question, please. For the CCF on healthcare, there are 3 types. The first type is about cancer drugs, and for ultra expensive drugs, we help those with uncommon diseases or rare diseases. The final type is about invasive medical equipment or devices. So to answer members' question, if it's about vaccination, I think we need to have a discussion first. But my take is that we can give it a thought. If possible, we can explore this option of the first category.
I think he was asking what the criteria are. What is the existing mechanism? Under the existing mechanism, we have the expert panel collecting medical evidence to see what our coverage should be, and we have this process in the first phase of the program. I don't think you have given a proper reply. Any follow-up from the member? I think the administration has given their best reply. We can perhaps follow up on this after the meeting. Ms. Maggie Chen, I want to ask about the after-school care program. I know that in 2024, 5,900 places were provided. In 2025-26, 14,400 places will be provided. I very much appreciate this. This is a good policy. But I note in the paper the allocation, especially in 2024. If we're talking about 5,900 places, each one gets $33,800 odd. Is the cost an annual cost? Is this really how much each place would cost every year? I also want to ask, what kind of services are provided exactly? Would there be social workers? Would there be other social professional services available? Next, for the 14,400 places, are they allocated without consideration of other factors to the districts, or do we prioritize districts with a higher demand? For example, places with working parents, both parents being working parents, or any of the places with a higher demand. And how can we assess the coverage, the participation rate, or the satisfaction rate of parents? Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, member, for your questions. Your questions are very much valid. We can have the relevant officers providing specific figures later, but let's not forget the vision of the program is to help those who have more difficulties, for example, single parent households, so that the children can complete their homework while being under care. So when they get back home, their parents don't have to do homework with them. We have done much, and we have seen, as you can see in the paper, some very good things, and we have had good results. There has been much improvement. I'll perhaps ask now the assistant director to give more information. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Chair. We would provide homework counseling for students under the care of the after-school care program. We also hold some activities and provide skills training or social skills training to them so that they can have comprehensive development. We also provide parents with parental support and counseling. Some organizations even provide employment counseling to the parents. We did not particularly screen schools. We actually invite primary schools of all of Hong Kong to join the program, and for parents or households, if they need, they can apply for such services. If the household concerned is a low-income household, they can participate in the program for free. For those who do not meet the means eligibility, when we still have vacancies, they can join by paying a fee. Thank you. Ms. Chen Ho-Yen. Chair, I have 2 questions. First, on the community living room projects, I really appreciate this pilot program because it has helped many SDU tenants. They have an additional living space, and I can really see them developing networks. The community living room projects are supposed to be a 3-year program. The earliest project started on the 18th of December 2023, so we only have about a year left. So what is the administration going to do in future? Will you consider enhancing the program or provide more than one community living room in the same district? We have also heard some feedback that we can perhaps provide, say, childcare services in the community living rooms. I would say that we can perhaps have different community living rooms providing different services. I also want to ask if the administration plans to extend the community living room projects. Another question that I have is on the elderly dental assistant program. I would first like to say to the Secretary my appreciation for the Community Care Fund providing much in support to the elderly for dental care. And we have spent much on dental assistance with the funds of the Community Care Fund. If this is to be a recurrent program of the hospital authority, we should be able to release some resources of the Community Care Fund for some new services. So do you have any plans for the Community Care Fund to have this program become a recurrent program of the hospital authority? Thank you. I'll let Dr. Wong answer the specific questions, and I would also like to thank Ms. Chen. She remembers things well. Indeed, the earliest community living room project started at the end of 2023, and we have had some good results, and we originally had a target of serving 80,000 people, but we have already served 300,000 people. And I know that many citizens are very concerned about the way forward, and very soon we should have an answer. Please be patient. It has only been a year and a half. We have received much support from society on the projects. We hope to expand on this further. As for the question on dental care, I will let Dr. Wong answer the relevant question of the member. Thank you. Dr. K. Wong, we will indeed take over from the Community Care Fund in 2026. we will complete the services under the Community Care Fund. I believe the member asked about what new programs there are after the Community Care Fund has made this program a recurrent program of the Hospital Authority. I believe you would need to await the updates from the Community Care Fund. Alright, we have 2 other members waiting to speak, and we have 1 waiting to speak for the second round. I will extend the meeting now. Mr. Yu Patlang. Thank you, Chair. I want to ask also about the after-school care program like Ms. Maggie Chen. The program has helped a lot of people. It also releases potential labor force, having more females able to work. I want to ask more about this. So we have approximately 19,900 places. How many percent of them are free? How many percent of them are of CSSA households? What is the ratio of the free places to the paid places? I also want to ask, apart from CSSA households needing such services, what are the other households that would need such services? We have, in the last academic year, 120 schools participating. We do have different districts covered, but it's just a quarter of the primary schools in Hong Kong. Why didn't the other schools participate in the program? What has the administration done in encouraging the schools to participate in the program? Thank you, Chair. Secretary, thank you. I would like to see if the Assistant Director has any specific figures, but let me first give a brief reply. I believe most of the places are getting the services for free, and we would definitely would love to have more schools participate in the program. We do understand that there may be some difficulties in schools participating in the program, but I would urge the schools to participate because these would definitely benefit the different households. I will now ask the Assistant Director to supplement my answers. We do not have the specific figures right now. We can perhaps provide the figures after the meeting. Ms. Maggie Chen speaking for the second round. I'll assign a 3-minute time limit. I want to ask about the maintenance mediation pilot program. I think this program is very good, and I note in the paper in 2024 we have had $367.2 billion allocated for 179 cases. So for each case it costs $17,430. So I want to ask, what is this sum for? Is it for the mediation services, administration fees, or other components? I also note that this program will probably involve some cases of cross-boundary marriages or cross-boundary asset allocation. Would you consider expanding this program by collaborating with mainland authorities and organizations to have some standing mechanism for coordination so that we can provide some one-stop services for maintenance mediation in the Greater Bay Area? I will perhaps ask the Deputy Secretary to answer this question. Yes, Mr. Paul Wong. We have approximately 180 cases, as Ms. Maggie Chen said. The standards we adopt, or the threshold we adopt, is that there have to be Hong Kong residents. So we have indeed some cases that are of a cross-boundary nature, and we have only one outstanding case. The other few cases, it is only in the single digit. They have already been concluded. We will pay close attention to the situation, however. The cost is mainly for mediators, and the cost is on a per case basis. This, because it is on a case by case basis, it is accountable. Thank you. It's now my turn to speak.
Okay.
I have 2 questions. I think all the programs covered by the CCF are very meaningful. They are impactful as well. The CCF does a lot to help underprivileged families. So I appreciate that. But specifically, I'd like to pick up on what Mr. Benson Look just now said. I don't think the administration has answered that. Be it ultra expensive drugs or medical devices. What are the criteria? There may be various demands. So, what is the consideration behind including some drugs or devices? Has it to do with the kind of disease or the services needed or other factors? Because we continue to see the emergence of new drugs or devices, and many of them are ultra expensive. So what are the criteria for considering inclusion of these drugs and devices? Chairman, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Larry Lee to take that question. I think they adopt certain criteria on expensive drugs, medical devices for interventional procedures. We have a committee that gives recommendation to our management committee, and that if suitable, they'll be included in the safety net and the Samaritan Fund. We consider a number of things, and that is empirical evidence from research and development activities, the efficacy, and also whether it's safe and cost effective. But more importantly, we emphasize empirical evidence or clinical evidence. In fact, according to experience, we included quite many drugs through the procedures I mentioned into the safety net. We started with 2 cancer drugs. Now we have over 20. In fact, there are 53 drugs that have migrated from the safety net under CCF to another fund called Samaritan Fund. Right, let me follow up on that. Be it medical device or drugs, do we have procedures that allow us to negotiate with the suppliers of drugs and devices so as to bargain for a better deal, because we are subsidizing patients with public money? So is there something in the mechanism that allows bargaining with the suppliers? We've continued to enhance the system, Chair. In July 2018, we put in place 2 enhancement measures. We set up a new committee to assess individual cases. More importantly, we set up a liaison group that negotiated with drug suppliers and on more sustainable or viable long-term financial arrangements so as to drive the costs down. I can give you the data later. All right, all questions have been asked. We move on to the next item, AOB. Nothing under AOB today, so the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.